Hello and welcome to another episode of Sustainability in Your Ear, the Earth911 podcast. I'm Mitch Ratcliffe. We're going to be talking today about plant-based milks. We're talking with Adam Lowry, who's the co-founder and CEO of Ripple. Ripple Foods is a maker of several different kinds of plant-based milk, but particularly starting with pea-based milk, which provides the same kind of calcium and potassium and other omega-3s that you get from milk, but without all of the sugar and the water usage that's involved in normal milk. Adam, welcome to the show. How are you today?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me, Mitch.
Well, so now let's talk about the range of dairy-free products you offer. It's quite broad. Tell us about your different plant-based milks.
Yeah, we make a bunch of milk products, and actually we're now expanding outside of milk. So very briefly, we have a full range of non-dairy milks, which are our original plant-based milk. We've got an unsweetened variety. Then we have a couple of different flavors, both in sweetened and unsweetened varieties like chocolate and vanilla. We have that similar range for kids. We have a half and half and coffee creamer product. And then we now have a full range of protein shakes and powders as well.
Great. I didn't realize you were going into the shake business.
Yeah, that's pretty new. They're nationally distributed at Target and going to other retailers now.
Well, and that's one of the really great things is you can find your milks everywhere. And I want to talk a little more about that later. But let's start with where you began, which is, and you focused a lot on use of peas. What's the advantage in terms of protein over almond milk and other plant milks with peas?
Yeah, it's very substantial. So the irony is that most non-dairy milks are pretty awful alternatives to dairy. They're sort of thin and watery and chalky in some cases, and they don't contain the primary nutrition that you get from dairy milk. So almond milk has 1/8 of the protein of dairy milk. Coconut and cashew milk have none at all. And even new varieties like oat milk also have very little protein. So you have this situation where 90% of the market share is in formats that lack the primary nutrition benefit of the thing they're replacing, and they're not very good. And so we use peas, but peas are not necessarily really what makes Ripple unique. What makes us unique is we make our own protein from those peas. So it's highly pure. And that's how we can get a non-dairy milk that tastes really clean, really dairy-like, really rich and creamy, and has actually a little bit better nutritional profile than dairy milk. It has the same protein, but it's got more calcium, vitamin D, so on.
Mm-hmm. And less sugar.
Yeah, and about half the sugar of dairy milk, actually a little less than half of the sugar of dairy milk.
Now, the other impact Ripple has in terms of the sustainability of the product is that the peas are certainly less water intensive than something like almonds, which take thousands of gallons of water to produce even a single pound of almonds. What's the benefit of your approach in terms of water and carbon impacts?
Well, that's another big reason that we use peas. So without going into too much detail on why, peas are legumes that fix their own nitrogen, and they also grow where it rains. So an almond, for example, a single almond takes more than a gallon of water to grow.
Right.
And 99% of them are grown in the Central Valley of California. Coconuts, cashews are even more water intensive. There's also a huge carbon impact of moving all of that water to areas where it doesn't traditionally rain. So the net effect of that, which if anyone is curious, you can see the full life cycle assessment of Ripple milks versus other non-dairy milks on our website at ripplefoods.com. The net effect is that we're about 95% lower water footprint than most of these other non-dairy milks like almond milk, and about 90% lower carbon footprint.
Well, and you know, that's your transparency is one of the things that impressed me most. Not many companies are showing people the full life cycle analysis of their products, and that's encouraging to see.
Well, thank you. That's my background, so I thought it would be good to just show everybody exactly what the real deal is.
Now, why did you focus on dairy-free? You had previously been involved in a cleaning products company, a sustainable cleaning products company. What was this a personal need? A lot of business starts with trying to solve one's own problems. Were you lactose intolerant?
No, and actually, I think that's I'm very much the target audience for the Ripple brand, which is anyone who wants to be more plant-based but doesn't necessarily have to be plant-based. But to answer your question, the reason was impact. So my last business, Method, the cleaning products brand, I started because of some frustrations that I had being a climate scientist and trying to make change that way. And that, of course, is an amazing 18 years. And the reason I started Ripple Foods was because our food system has even more opportunity for reducing the impacts and creating much better, healthier, more environmentally friendly solutions. So that's why I went over to food and specifically dairy. Dairy is about a quarter of our food carbon footprint.
Sure.
And food's about a third of humanity's carbon footprint. So putting those two numbers together, dairy is almost 10% of humanity's entire carbon footprint. And if you think it's sort of, well, wow. And if you think it's unattainable that we would move away from dairy, consider for a second that humans are the only species that drinks another mammal's milk. So getting the dairy directly from the plants is a much more sustainable way to get it.
Now, we've talked a little bit about the health benefits generally, but when it comes down to it and a consumer is standing in the aisle thinking about not only their carbon impact, but how healthy they are trying to be, why should they choose a plant-based milk over the other options?
Well, I would differentiate there between plant-based milks. And I think you may be aware of the fact that there's some controversy out there on what should be able to be called milk.
Right.
And part of the reasoning there is that things like, almond milk's a sham. It doesn't, it's terrible for the environment and doesn't have any nutrition. And most other non-dairy milks are kind of the same way. So I think, if you're looking for nutrition, make sure that you differentiate between the plant-based milks that you're looking at. But a lot of people are just wanting to live a more plant-based lifestyle in general. A lot of people are suspicious of the things in dairy. Milk is not what it was 300 years ago. There's a lot of other stuff in it, which is a function of how that milk is made sometimes. Milk can be inflammatory for certain people. There's a sort of a whole range of reasons why the dairy milk category is slowly declining, and most people that are leaving the dairy category are switching over to plant-based. It's sort of general health benefits or specific for specific people, and it's also more environmentally friendly, as we talked about. So it's sort of a mixed bag of reasons, but at the end of the day, it's about a personal choice. And we believe that if you're going to make that choice, you shouldn't have to sacrifice, deliciousness and creamy texture and nutrition in order to get it.
Well, that's an interesting question. I drink a lot of coffee. How can I get my barista to start using it? Should I be making the request for Ripple milk at Starbucks?
Yeah, you should. As a matter of fact, we just launched a barista series milk at retail, and we're starting to work on coffee at grocery, basically. And we are working on some coffee partnerships now to get Ripple behind the counter. And the nice thing about our product there is that if you've ever had a non-dairy latte, they're not very good relative to a creamy, rich dairy latte.
They've never blown me away.
Yeah, and we think that we've pretty much licked that one. Our products are known, among other things, for being really rich and creamy the way that dairy products are. So we're really excited about that product. So please ask at Starbucks, and maybe we'll be able to get it there.
Now, you also have, just following on that, if you're interested in finding Ripple, ripplefoods.com has a store locator, and I ran a search on my neighborhood, and there were at least a dozen options to go shopping. So it's out there, and you can find it. But folks, speak up for what you want, particularly in the coffee shops where a massive amount of milk, in fact, more milk than coffee is served on a daily basis.
I never thought about that before, but I'm sure that's true.
It is actually true about Starbucks.
Yeah.
They consume more milk than they do coffee. Now, so the other thing I really like about your products is the containers. You've got completely post-consumer recycled materials in your bottles, and of course, they're recyclable at the end of life. Is that a practical option for all companies making a consumer product that they shift over to this, do you think? And
Absolutely.
how does it serve you?
Well, I believe that all packaging should have a past and a future. So what that means is all of the material of the package should have been something before and should be something again after you're done using it. And the best choice for that, for this type of product is post-consumer recycled PET. And the reason for that is it's available and it's cost competitive with virgin plastic. And it's 94% of American households have curbside recycling for PET plastic. There are other options. You know, of course, there are things like cartons in the marketplace, but cartons are actually usually not just paperboard. They've got metal in them and multiple layers and that sort of thing. And so they're not post-consumer. And then the recyclability of those is sort of less. And it's getting better.
It is getting better.
It's definitely getting better, which is great. But I think the Tetra Pak recycling is maybe at 60% now. I'm not exactly sure, but it was about there the last time I looked. So anyway, I believe that anything that you make that's packaging, which is inherently a short-lived kind of thing, even in a multi-serve product like ours, it should have a past and a future. And with regard to the PET, the recycled PET, that was actually a material that I and my team pioneered almost 20 years ago now, actually, with the Method brand. All of Method's packaging is made from 100% post-consumer as well.
So do you find you actually save money as a company by focusing on that full life cycle approach?
Yeah, in some places, yes, massively. And in other places, there are additional costs, but it's the way we run our business, yeah.
Okay. Now, the way you run your business is also a fascinating story. You're one of the very first founders of a B corporation, a benefit corporation. Can you tell everybody what a benefit corporation does and why you chose that?
Yeah, a benefit corporation basically expands the fiduciary duty of directors and officers to include things, stakeholders in addition to shareholders. So it changes the model of business from shareholder primacy to a broader view that incorporates the needs of society and the environment. And the way that it does that is through a new corporate form called a benefit corporation or a B corporation. And so now in 32 states in the United States, including Delaware, where most corporations are based, you can incorporate as, just like you could incorporate as an S Corp or a C Corp or an LLC, you can incorporate as a B Corp. And when you do, you have to identify and state your public benefit that you're pursuing, and then you have to report transparently against that public benefit on a periodic basis. And so we do that. We actually do it in real time, just the way that we do with our financial information. So all of our shareholders, every time they get financial information, they also get our impact information as well.
So can you just quickly characterize what that impact information consists of so people can think about that?
Yeah. I would encourage people to go to bcorporation.net and you can see the whole thing. But the way I would describe it is just like in accounting, you have generally accepted accounting principles. What the B Corp community is doing is creating that for societal and environmental metrics. So how you treat workers, environmental considerations, community impact, corporate governance and ownership, pay equity, all of a broad range of societal and environmental impacts that business has. They've created the entire ecosystem, including the Sustainability Advisory Standards Board, just like there is in the financial world. There's FASB, the financial. It gets a little bit sort of wonky.
Into acronym soup. Yes.
Yeah, but the important thing is that it's like the financial standards. These standards are open, transparent, improving all the time, and audited. And so, and they're transparent. So you can go with Ripple Foods or my previous business Method, you can go to bcorporation.net. You can look at our full suite of performance on social and environmental metrics.
Well, now that's really inspiring, and a lot of folks that listen to the show are also thinking about how they could start businesses to support the environment, and it's good to hear that you really have dedicated yourself to the full life cycle, transparent approach to delivering what we need to survive as humans. Now, you mentioned shakes are coming, or a brand new component of your offerings. What's the future for Ripple?
Yeah, what we're really trying to do is build Ripple into a lifestyle brand across the kitchen in the dairy space. So think milk, yogurt, cheese, ice cream, the works. And you're going to be seeing that little by little coming out over the next couple of years from us. So building our brand from nutritional products and non-dairy milks into a broad range of dairy alternatives across all subsegments. And then you might also see some other interesting things that I can't quite speak about.
Sure.
But there's lots of opportunity for our mission is to make plant-based foods delicious. And the reason we want to do that is so that we inspire people to choose plant-based just because it's delicious above all else. And that's good for the world and good for them. And so there's lots of opportunity in the plant-based food space. So we're looking.
Well, we agree, and we're looking forward to having some articles about how to make recipes with various plant-based milks, because that is something our readers are asking about.
Well, we have tons of those on our social channels and on our website, and would be happy to provide.
Fantastic. Adam Lowry, co-founder and CEO of Ripple Foods. Thank you very much for joining us on Sustainability today.
My pleasure, Mitch. Thanks for having me.
Well, folks, that wraps up another innovator interview. It's Earth911, Sustainability in Your Ear. We will be back with another show soon. Be sure to check out Ripple at www.ripplefoods.com and take a big gulp of milk from me. Take care, everybody.